It's Chris, Liege Games. Let's do this because it is the roundup. Now, the roundup is a little bit different this week because there's not as like strong contenders from top to bottom, but there's a lot of stuff that launched, a lot of stuff. So we're gonna try and keep it briefer today, but no promises, man. You know how I ramble and I rant, and some of the best stuff comes out of that, like my No Sleeves Unsettled and things like that, and Deep Rock Galactic standees and whatever else I can come up with. In case you missed it, I'm doing a couple more full walkthroughs of games, round examples. I had one come out earlier this week from founders of Teotihuacan. I had one earlier this week come out from founders of Teotihuacan, which was a tile-laying Euro-y style game. I know the title was off-putting, but give it a chance. It's actually a really good game. I'm also going to have one coming up shortly from Ryozan Tabula Games, and I have one for the Loop expansion, Fozilla. Fuzilla? Well, I prefer Fuzilla, but it was Fozilla. So I'll be talking the game modes there, as well as some final thoughts with that. And I'm just trying to do a little more of that. And again, let me know if you want to see that in the comment section. Well, I'm going to do it anyway, because, that's what I think is very helpful sometimes when, I'm looking at a game too, just to see an example, a round or two in terms of that. Because otherwise, sometimes just 5 points here and there isn't always the most descriptive. But don't worry, I won't ignore those as well. That's it. Patreon, please comment below. Algorithm, subscribe. We hit 5K. Can we hit 5K more by the end of the year? We'll see. Let's go into it right now. The roundup. Now, again, it's interesting because there was stuff that just came out of the woodwork, and I always find this weird. Opening rant right here. 3 of the 6 games that I have open browsers for right now. We have Sentinels of the Multiverse, the expansion. We have Steven Jackson's Munchkin Presents Batman. We have the Umbrella Academy from Mantic, and all 3 of these, absolutely no warning, as far as I know. Absolutely none. Like, if you're one of these big companies, especially like Mantic, like you did Hellboy the board game, and Sentinels of the Multiverse from, Greater Than Games, like, why aren't you hyping this? Why aren't you letting people know to anticipate this? Again, are you just expecting like a cult following is just going to come to you without any advertisement? I mean, that can happen, but why not be a little bit more open with that information? I'm always surprised by that. Anyway, Sentinels of the Multiverse here, Rook City Renegades expansion. They're running through the greatest hits of Sentinels of the Multiverse. Now, obviously, they're making some changes. Obviously, the definitive edition, which this was called essentially 3.0 when it crowdfunded last year, just got to people, I don't know, got to people a couple months ago. And so this is the latest take on the reimagining of said expansions in the first place. And they're doing a few things different as well. And they have always had a very solid following. This doesn't surprise me. Yeah, it surprises me a little bit, 200,000, but at the same time, not really, because I think they're trying to get more people in from a new aspect. But again, the question that I had even with the first time around was, why am I getting this now? Because they had like a foil pack, essentially, for the first time around. And I was kind of, a foil promo pack 2 is going to be here as well. I mean, again, I like it. 90-day guarantee, money back. But I'm going to call myself out in the comment section. How many of these games, when they arrive in mass quantities, are you playing within 90 days? I'm in that comment and I don't like it. Anyway, so they're going a little bit different here. I don't know all of the, the nuance of the Sentinel Multiverse history, so I can't tell you how different this is, but I know I recognize some names like the Chairman, and a few of these, enemies are very familiar. And they're going with a few new-ish people here, I think. I don't recognize all of these names, but again, that's sort of my lack of awareness as well. So again, it's going to cost you $50. I don't know if that's a good deal or not. With this promo pack, again, I don't know if these promo packs, the foil sets essentially are just foil edition of the same cards. So they're sort of like collector's edition cards rather than gameplay content. But again, this is a lot of money right here. $120 for a game plus an expansion with 2 sets of foils. So if you scroll down, though, it answers that question. It is just a foil version right here. Yeah, foil version of whatever. So I don't know. I don't see, that's not an incentive for me to back it. It's an incentive for me to maybe get it at their web store later if it's less than $50. because I don't really want this. I'd rather pay $40 with shipping later without getting this. It doesn't do anything for me. And so again, it's not that I don't want to support the company, but it's that I just don't want to pay extra for something extra that I'm never going to use or want in the first place. They've got a new mechanic that they're touting here. It's called the suddenly thing. No matter what it is, no matter what card, what type it is, it plays, and you just play it as an instant no matter what, anytime it ends up in your hand immediately. So that's kind of cool. And so if you can add some new mechanisms in there as well, this game could definitely use some revitalization into, again, more of the modern. And that's what they talked about with the first Kickstarter time around, was that they said, okay, we had some things that we couldn't implement due to the constraints of the original version, and we're throwing it in now. So if you like this is going to be better from a Sentinels of the Multiverse. Is it a good deal? To be determined. Is it going to appeal to people that were already previously in? Absolutely. 200,000 is a testament to that. So there you go. Sentinels of the Multiverse, the Rook City Renegades expansion. Now, Western Legends. You want a big box? You got a big box for this. Again, $200,000. This might be one of the over-unders for next week. I mean, they're almost at identical after, about 36 hours of launching. So that's pretty impressive. What's the price point, though, on this? Because I'm curious to see how many people... Because in this one, you're getting a lot of the old stuff as well, too, it looks like. Okay, so $7 for promos. Just the big box with promos with a wooden insert. A wooden insert. I don't like wooden inserts. Like, wooden inserts mean to me that you're never going to take this game anywhere, and it's going to be hard to lug around. It's going to be even hard to get out because the wooden inserts are heavy. I'm never a big fan of wooden inserts. I'm also just not a big fan of inserts. Like, I'm one of those people who is more like anxious about throwing away inserts, but I realize the more and more games I open up and the more and more games I organize and have to deal with in terms of organization, that inserts are crap for the most part. No offense. I know you're in the comment section. And hear me out on this. Most inserts that are designed in most retail and plenty of Kickstarter games are designed to just transport it safely and are crap when it comes to actual storage and organization. There are definitely ones that are much better at storage and organization, but those unfortunately still are few and far between. And so the rest, I really feel like I should just throw out. I mean, I think of my Spirit Island. It's just crap. And I threw it out. One of the few I've actually done that with. Anyway, let's get back to the big box here. That's a lot of wood. Hyperspace Kraken. I'm sorry. Egnite. You didn't hear that come out of my mouth. Close your, put the earmuffs on your virgin ears, Egnite, for all of you that get that reference as well. Okay, so what are we getting here? It's just better organization, the big box, with some promos. And again, I'm assuming, are you able to get previous stuff? Yeah, you can get the whole thing. Which was weird because I think one of their previous campaigns, you couldn't get some of the previous stuff, like the base game, that they didn't offer it. But they're offering everything here. I guess the question for those of you who are in Western Legends or in deep already, does $269, is that a good deal? It doesn't include the playmats, doesn't include the token upgrades, the plastic upgrades, or the 3D buildings. But it reminds me sort of when I was looking at this and talking about it last week about knowing that it was going to be coming out. Is it going to be more like Everdell? Because I think you're seeing that also with 51st Master Set. Looked for trading online, and I had a whole bunch of people offer me that game because I think people are trying to get rid of it so they can justify getting the whole in for the 51st Master Set as well, or the Ultimate Edition, if you will. Okay, $200 retail pledge, and then you can get all of this stuff individually. Some of these were really hard to come by at retail. I think some of them were a little bit exclusive, and others are much more easier to get by. So I don't know. This open world sandbox thing has never really appealed to me, and honestly, that's probably more from a thematic standpoint with this. Westerns don't do anything for me whatsoever. None whatsoever. And so I've never had any interest in this game. So I can't really tell you if it's a good game. I can't really tell you if I'd like it or not. I just haven't... I've judged a book by its cover. And so I'm okay with that. But this is a lot of money. And these are a lot of people going in, getting the box here. 1,500 people getting the box. And, only 880 getting everything. So again, I could see a lot more of those people, apparently, I would say, are piecemealing it, of the 2,200. So there you go, Western Legends. Next up, Illiterati. I talked about this game last week because I was really interested to see it. It's already at $72,000, which is, again, very, very impressive. But I like the aspect of the real-time and the cooperative nature of it. However, mid-campaign discussion turnaround here. Not really, very beginning. I can't do a shut up and sit down. I looked at the rulebook. Gap closer games here. I mean, this looks very solid. You've got a bunch of Quackalope videos down here too, I think. I'm just not a spelling word game person. I'm just not. And I think it's interesting. You're going to be spelling, like, it says like animals in the book or the objective card that you're trying to do. And so you have to spell out like a 4 letter animal, and the other person has to fill out like a 5 letter animal, and then they have to have certain colors, enough certain colors within those words as well. So like it's a challenge. But the couple word games that I've played, I just don't have fun. I just don't have fun with word games. And I think this otherwise mechanically speaks to me as a person, as a gamer, in terms of the cooperative real-time elements, because I love those, but I don't love word games. And so again, it was like, oh, I didn't get the other one that was word building and deck building and battling RPG. I forget what that one was. You know what I'm talking about though. It was the hardcover series as well, the whole shebang. You know what I'm talking about. But I looked at this and I read the rule book through, and I just said, this appeals to me from a heartstring, but up here I go, I can't get this played. I can't. So I'm going to end up passing on it probably at this point. I may watch a little more video, but I just don't see myself getting it played over other things at this point that are similar in comparison. So that's probably going to be the biggest issue. I think it looks solid. I think people who are going to like this, but again, if you don't like real time, you're going to hate this. You're going to hate this as well. There's an upgraded deluxe version here. And okay, I don't like necessarily this crossover stuff, because again, I feel like it's like the foil promos a little bit, where you're paying extra for something you don't want. But that's okay, because some people are going to get it, and you're getting upgraded deluxeifications essentially. It's more like a Euro upgrade than anything else. And I would imagine if you're going to get this, that's where you go anyway, and that's where 1,200 of the people are of the total 1,600. So that doesn't surprise me one bit. I mean, this might be a good solo puzzle game as well. I see this as an actual true solo, being able to play that, not necessarily doing multi-handed. They run through some of the villains here that you're going to be playing. And I think the unique mechanic also here is that when you play one of these villain cards, it activates all the other villain cards that have gone before it. So it's cool. Again, all the big guys have videos there. Board Game Co. Quackalope and Before You Play. So check it out if you're interested. There you go. Illiterati. Now, up next, we have the relaunch of Earth Under Siege Flashpoint. Again, less than 24 hours on this one, and it's already at 200% funding, which is great. Now, I've heard an interesting combination of things on this. I think I have a prototype coming my way, but apparently it's a bit more complex than your average dungeon crawl. But they're going more Assassin's Creed Metal Gear Solid rather than smash 'em up, beat 'em up, Hulk, me, smash. So that's why this one is different, and they're very upfront about that. Again, covert missions, stealth, sabotage, ambush style. Now, I heard a couple critiques that was saying, oh, well, you're dice rolling and you can miss on the dice rolls. Well, that's a dice rolling game, folks. If you have a problem with that, go play something else. Come on. Let's not be negative Nancy's for the sake of being negative Nancy's. I mean, if it's not for you, it's not for you. If a mechanism isn't for you, it doesn't mean it's a bad mechanism. Anyway, side rant there. Most likely never be available at retail. Now, I believe they have an early bird. So if you're watching this, you need to check it out, because it's going to have just over 24 hours at the time of me filming this. But by the time you're watching it, it could have easily hours left at this point. So you need to be aware there's an early bird at $110. Now, what's the difference? Okay, $10. That's not insignificant. It's 10%. And $15. So again, about 10% at the higher level, which is including an expansion. Again, say what you will about expansions being available on the first day. Okay, so we got lots of miniatures. Okay, we got lots of stuff here. Okay, let's get to the nitty gritty here. Here's the expansion. What do we got with the expansion? Again, more guys, more conditions, more cards. I would like a little bit more of a description here about if you're going to put an expansion here right away. What is special about this expansion? Gameplay, here we go. Campaign, Assault, Extinction. Now, my biggest fear with this is that it's going to be a little tougher as a one-shot. The whole blessing of Deep Rock Galactic and Cthulhu Death May Die is that you can one-shot, but the one-shot rules are simple. And so if you're going to have a super complex game, you're going to have to reward it for multiple plays, and that's where the campaign mode comes in. The assault mode, though, allows you to play any mission. That's appropriate. My only concern is, if this is truly campaign and you're doing it campaign style, you're going to want to have carryover. There's going to be upgrades. Can you just jump in with the appropriate upgrades? So that's going to be a question. Base defense. Okay, 10 rounds. I kind of like that. If it works well, I guess the theme of sneaking around and Assassin's Creed doesn't always line up in my head with base defense. But if you can do it, okay. Black Op, Breach and Clear, or Espionage. Okay. I mean, I like this. I don't have anything like this in my collection. The only concern I would have is, okay, if you're going to go this route, what does it do differently than, say, V Commandos or Assassin's Creed that have come out in the last couple years? So comparisons there are going to be more maybe apt than your usual dungeon crawl. Definitely Metal Gear Solid-esque in a sci-fi setting, I'm getting vibe-wise, in terms of these actions that you're taking. Branching paths, again, do you like that? Do you want more of a narrative? Do you not want it? Replayability, obviously, if you're branching, there you go. And to the point, complexity-wise, I mean, I joked about Solar 175 in the video having a 56-page rulebook. Well, Earth Under Siege is literally also 56 pages. And some of it is not, I'm assuming, campaign-esque. Maybe it is some campaign unlocks down here at the bottom. We'll scroll down this thing really fast. But my feeling is that it's mostly going to be actual rules. So, whew, I have my work cut out for me if I'm going to learn this. Yeah, it's pretty much all straightforward rules and things to know. So that's probably going to be the biggest barrier to entry for a lot of people. Right there. Price point? No. Price point's okay. Price point's what I expect. It's going to be complexity. You know, that's probably what the other one, Kingdom Forlorn, has going against it right now, too, is that it's going to be a lot of complexity. It's going to be a lot of game length that's not going to be the average stuff. And so you're going to have to be wanting more in that aspect. I mean, same thing with Liege of Dungeoneers, which I'll talk about in a little while. Learn to play, a couple videos, you know, all the big guys. All the big guys. I wish there was more mechanisms on the actual page. Just a quick, brief synopsis. I mean, you show me combat, you show me valor, but just something a little bit more there. But I mean, the camp page is already long enough as it is on the page itself. So I understand why there's not more on there either. So we'll see what it looks like. Now, playthrough of Mission 1, playthrough of Mission 2, playthrough of Mission 3. So you can see a lot of stuff already. That's cool. That's good. I like that there's not a question mark of what the actual game actually looks like, though, at the same time. So you can get a sense of how much of that on a turn-by-turn basis are you doing. Again, sort of like Kingdoms Forlorn. So Earth Under Siege, Flashpoint, check it out. Now we have Small Samurai Empires and expansion with a playmat. Again, under 24 hours and $27,000, which is impressive for a small box game like this. Now, an expansion, let's see. Game of 2021. I have no clue about this. Action programming, area control, strategy. Victory points, area control, early bird as well. This one has an early bird as well. We just saw early birds earlier with Earth Under Siege. How do you feel about that? I mean, for a small box game, the price point is fine. Now, that's a big price point jump. Oh, okay, this is just the expansion. Okay, I thought this was the base game and then the expansion was $36. No, the base game is $36 with the expansion. Deluxe tokens, playmat, okay. 5th region with the expansion, 5th player with the expansion, 1 to 5. I kind of like the idea of this because it reminds me very much aesthetically and mechanistically like Rumble Nation, which is one of my favorite games that I wish someone would pick up and distribute in the US. Because it kind of gives me that vibe as a whole. And if it's anything like Rumble Nation, I'm actually interested. So we get down right here a little bit further, and they actually do exactly what I just said. You're going to play cards to areas, program your actions, and then resolve them. Here are the various actions. Now, this is more complex than Rumble Nation, so I'm probably going to not be interested in it as much as I was initially just very tempted by first glance. Because, I mean, the recruiting is fine, the moving, the attacking is fine, but harvesting more resources and constructing is probably going to be a little bit too much for me as a non-area control person. But I'm also okay with that. I mean, I'll probably watch a little bit of gameplay. I'll probably look at the actual rulebook here after this video. Because, again, it's intriguing just enough because of my familiarity with a few other small area control games like Rumble Nation. So that would be my biggest consideration. Plenty of videos. Holy cow. $12 shipping on the general. Ooh, 14. Okay, so whatever. It is what it is. No stretch goals. And you're just going to get it what you're going to get. So, there you go. Small Samurai Empires. I am going to click remind me. Check it out. Next up, we have Solar 175. And I talked about this one last week, too. And this one's, again, it's 72,000. So, we have a little competition on our hands. The 200Ks and the 72Ks. This is Euro-style Legacy. And they were nice enough to actually send me the rulebook a couple months ago, like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, because I was thinking about, you know, like it appeals to me from aesthetic and legacy aspect. But I looked at the rulebook and I was like reading through it. It was like 30 pages, maybe. I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 40. They all blur together at this point. But I looked at it and in combination with like this picture right here, and I said, whoa, this is way too heavy for me. Like this is one where if somebody taught me it, I might be like super interested in it. But for me to be able to get this to the table myself and to play it myself and to teach it to other people, I would be, it'd be overwhelming, I think, from that aspect. But again, I think this is a very solid game from what has been shown and from what is known about it as well. And again, a little bit of cool miniatures there. I didn't even know those were going to be part of it. Again, this is probably something, you know what, I should have just said, like several of the other videos that I have coming out and some of the other games that I'm maybe talking about in the near future, like a little bit outside of my comfort zone with founders of Teotihuacan and with Ryozan. Again, not up in my wheelhouse. So I probably should have given this, but I think this is also like a game length of like 2 to 3 hours as well. And that's the other thing that I really have trouble with from a getting to the table standpoint. I need games that are playing in like an hour and a half or less as my ideal. No, not to say we don't play anything like that. I mean, several of my favorite games that I've played in the last, year and a half have been, a little bit longer on that. But again, there you go. Deluxe edition is going to include 5th player expansion and some, well, just deluxe metal stuff. And I mean, the aesthetic is beautiful. I like this aesthetic very much. Like Gonza, this is something completely different actually. Gonza Index dice game. So is that like a separate little game they're including with this? Interesting, if it is. I've Cogito, Ergo, Meeple, if we reached out and I talked to them again, like I would totally be up for reviewing this on my channel. But with the limited time frame, also I said, you know what, I just can't. Because I'm also trying to be very upfront with people. Like if this game just doesn't fit, like there's better people out there that are going to be able to give you guys, because that's the other aspect of things. Like I'm not doing this just to do it. I'm not doing this just to get review copies. I'm doing this so that I can give the best information based on my preferences for people who are in the similar boat as me. And sometimes it's just stepping a little bit too far out, especially with a short time frame that a lot of these previews do. So I said, again, thank you, because again, people even respond to me and people are starting to like say, oh, I know you. And I'm like, what? Anyway, but that's sort of the weird thing. That's just always humbling. But there's a lot of stuff going on here, as you can tell, just with all of these pieces. So again, the rule book is right here. Let's see how many pages it actually is to see how far off I was in remembering. Okay, never mind. I was far off, but not in the right way. It's 56 pages. But I mean, this is 56 pages, but some of this is unlockable sections too with a legacy aspect. Again, just too much for me. I'm completely okay with saying that. Not every game is meant for every person. Again, I would love it if I could get this to the table, like someone explained it to me and try it out. But, as me to just go in as a backer at this point, it's outside of my comfort zone. But, again, I'm okay with that. There's a lot going on here. Tons of videos from everybody who's, looked at it and said it. And again, no question of what it is. No question of what you're getting. And let's see what this Gonzo Index is. What is this, actually? Okay, this is a little mini game, isn't it? Standalone stock trading game. Oh, okay. With dice. Okay. Interesting. Interesting 2-in-1. I didn't know they were doing that. They run through some of the miniatures here, some of the world building, everything else you need to know. Again, this is probably one where Deluxe Edition, it's probably your better value. All-in Deluxe Edition, that's probably a little too much. The question is just, again, retail $90. I'd say with just like a lot of the other Euro games, you go deluxe or you go retail. And I mean that in the sense that you go deluxe on the crowdfunding or you wait for this game to come to retail and pick it up on either their web shop for slightly cheaper or distributors. So again, solid offering here at the beginning, but very, very, very different games here. Very different in all 3 of these first games. So there you go. Next up, we have the Umbrella Academy, which just launched, and I thought I'd be talking about Earth Under Siege Flashpoint at this point, but they had a whole snafu. It sounded like before I even got to check out the page, they included shipping into the price of the pledges, so they're relaunching, and I'll have this a little later in the video because I'm doing these sort of in sequential, but not necessarily. Again, there was a previous Umbrella Academy board game, I feel like in the last year or two, that was sort of not good. And this is Mantic. This is by the people who put out Hellboy. So they have a little bit of a pedigree. It's only got a $66,000 goal. I mean, comparatively, that's much less. And in less than 12 hours, they've already raised 48. So I don't think there's a question of whether or not it's going to fund. It's more of a question of, okay, is this more? As I saw in the comment section on Board Game Geek, someone was very dismissively gatekeeping this game, saying, well, it's just like a slightly different version of Marvel United, where all you're doing is shuffling around the pieces and just trying to stop the game from winning. I'm like, man, come on. Clearly, you haven't played Marvel United or played it anything beyond the core. And then two, and some people are just jerks about, trashing what other people like. They just can't help themselves and getting off their high horse. And that just really bothers me. Again, my biggest concern with this is that a deluxe edition for 75 pounds right there. Now, it's including miniatures. It's got some extra missions, but is it going to be justifiable? And it reminds me a little bit more of like the Simon animated collection with the Scooby-Doo game, which I'm waiting for still. And so I believe they have it on Tabletopia right now currently. A few Kickstarter things. Very much reminiscent of Hellboy, because that's what they did with Hellboy. And the question again with Hellboy was there wasn't a whole lot of retail distribution. So you either got it as a fan of the game, which Hellboy has thought of as rather fairly good in terms of dungeon crawls from Mantic. But if you didn't get it on there, even with the expansion second Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign from Mantic for Hellboy, they didn't offer any of the first time stuff from the first campaign. So you really have to, get it here, essentially. There's not a whole lot of wide distribution like we may see with some of these other games that I mentioned about. So choosing your villain, creating the hazard deck. So it reminds me more of like Marvel Legendary in that sense. Move, collect, thwart hazards, battle tokens, playing a card from your hand, team up, okay, and then use special skills. Again, this is all very generic. What makes it different? I'm seeing a lot of this generic stuff in terms of cooperative Pandemic-esque style games. So they've got a little bit of game overview here, which goes to their website, which I'll have to check out after this video. And they run through some of the team members of the Umbrella Academy, so you can kind of know what they do. And here's the rule book. So if you want to find out how exactly it plays, you have a little bit of this. And I think they actually run you through, how to play right here. So this will also be short on my watch list. And again, I mean, shipping is going to be what's shipping. I mean, shipping's going to be shipping right nowadays. Pre-war, post-war, pre-COVID, post-COVID, shipping is going to be what it is. If you do not want to pay shipping, you shouldn't be backing games anyway at this point. You should go pick up at retail and get free shipping from within your country if you can. I'm going to give this one a deeper look because it gives me those glimpses of Scooby-Doo, of Marvel United, but ultimately this is a very expensive price to get for what it is as well, which is part of the reason I was also a little hesitant in some of those areas in the same time. But again, they're only offering a deluxe pledge. So that's one nice thing, is that you're not choosing between other pledges. So again, maybe getting it without miniatures is always my question. But again, there's Umbrella Academy, and if the gameplay can hold up, Mantic has some pretty decent stuff out there already, so we'll see. Next up, Liege of Dungeoneers. I mentioned this last week. I actually had a copy of this. This is probably, again, this is blowing it out of the water. I had no clue what to expect with this one, but what I'll say right now is, having seen the rulebook, having played it a little bit, having a hands-on experience with this, the one thing I will say is this is very heavy dungeon crawl. This is also, literally and figuratively speaking, very heavy RPG. So if you're looking for something RPG-esque, sort of like Dungeon Universalis, which was out a couple years ago, which is being delivered, I think, in the process of people now, this is probably going to be it. But this is very, very role-playing. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you're looking at this at all, you need to be aware of how role-playing game heavy this is. Again, not as a bad thing, but as a, don't be fooled that this is a dungeon crawler first. This is an RPG that has a dungeon crawl element to it, as more like Dungeons and Dragons with rules that are more explicit, rather than a dungeon crawl with some tacked on RPG elements, if that makes sense. It's one much more so than the other. Again, there's a rulebook, the bestiary. I mean, it's beautiful. The designer, Michael, has clearly spent, having hands-on copy. There is a lot of time and effort spent on this. I have no qualms about saying this, but it is not going to be for people that are looking for something that is not going to require you a lot of planning, a lot of minutia in the rules and the RPG settings and the combat and the setup and the customization. It has a lot of that, a lot. And so if you want that, you should seriously be looking at this. If you don't, well, again, I would say that you would probably be passing on this, because again, there's a lot of reference sheets. These are a lot of information going on here, a lot of different tokens, a lot of different things to keep track of. I love the fact that they've got standees 400. Wow. 16 euros. See, that's how you can do standees right, though. 16 euros for 400 standees. Uh, 3D elements, a little bit of an expansion there. So again, what is the price point for this? I wasn't actually sure what it was going to be. Early bird has 8 hours to go, so you guys are going to miss this at the time of filming. But that's just the game with the stretch goals. And then primary tier, all in early bird is 140. Again, that's a lot. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of money, and you have to like this sort of thing. And again, I look at this sort of almost as more, not a total lifestyle game, but you're going to have to commit to this because this is not going to be an easy one-off either, like something along the lines of Cthulhu Death May Die, or even the other one that's finishing currently as we speak, Deep Rock Galactic. So it's got a lot of interesting stuff. It reminds me mostly of Dungeon Universalis in the minutia, in some of that stuff. And then that other passion project, what was it? Dungeon Crusade, that one, which again, mixed feelings on that, like almost too much stuff. Too much minutia. That's always my fear with this game. And without hands-on, you just want to be aware with something like this, whether or not it's for you. Because again, all of these different elements, it's a lot of stuff to do. Complexity. It's there. He even says, again, I'm not saying anything that's not on the page. It's very detailed. Encumbrance, weapons, art, durability, counting arrows. If that is too detailed for you, again, some of these things are optional, but just be aware. The full experience is going to have some of that. So that is League of Dungeoneers. Check it out if you're interested. Now, again, we have to talk about it. It's Munchkin, but it's Batman. It's Batman, you know. So it's got $100,000. So the over-under was definitely over on the 6-digit funders this week. So again, I guess the question always is someone who's I've never played Munchkin, full disclaimer, is it actually something different? Is it just regular Munchkin? Now it says here you kill monsters. In this one, you commit crimes, and crimes more towards victory. So it's basically just a different theme of Munchkin. A little standees there. I mean, I don't mind the artwork, actually. It's not horrible. And you take a lot of the classic guys. So they run through how to play here. Again, totally not for me. Totally have no interest in it. But again, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one that came out a couple years ago, there was definitely a huge interest from that. And I think that one was actually a little bit more thought of as well. So, again, $50 is a little bit more than I would have expected. Now, you get a Kickstarter exclusive expansion for $80. So, there you go. If you're interested, I'm not sure if that's a good price. I don't know what Munchkin like this, especially with the Kickstarter exclusive expansion, goes for on the secondary market or at retail. But I got to talk about it because it launched. So, Munchkin presents Batman. Now, this is a reboot, like it says. This is a relaunch. And it's always interesting to see because relaunches have actually been doing really, really well lately. And this is a re-implementation of a game called Think Straight, where it's sort of Hanabi-esque, if you will. And it's got 18,000, which is a tremendous, much more than I would have expected. I wonder what the pledge levels are on this, because 18,000 seems like a lot for a game that I wasn't expecting to be that expensive. So yeah, $25. So they're really killing it, actually. You see other people's numbers. You're trying to figure out what your numbers are through deduction. That's the essential make of what this game is. Again, 54 stones, 6 colors, 0 to 8. And expansion comes with it too. Okay, token expansion. Custom dice. Guessing wheel. That's the thing you're going to be able to use to make your deduction. Writing down your scorecards. I like the idea of deduction games. I don't ever really fully like them though, because they're puzzles, right? And I'm not trying to do a min-max optimization puzzle in my game. I'm trying to do a little bit of chaos a lot of the time, and a little bit of strategy and a little bit of tactical nature, and that doesn't always line up with my tastes. I mean, I recognize the goodness of a lot of those, but at the same time, you know, the Search for Planet X, for example, like, reviewed that game, thought it was a fantastic deduction game, probably the best deduction game out there. I traded it away because it wasn't fun. Like, that wasn't my idea of fun. I can recognize the difference between a good game and a game that is fun for me. So anyway, early bird here is going to get you also the expansion here for $25. So that's a good price. I don't think you're going to beat that at retail. So if you're interested in this at all, you need to get it now. So essentially what you're doing based on this is you're getting the dice to roll. You're getting colors that you then have to sum up, and you're putting a range in there to try and guesstimate how close or not you are. And you're going to narrow that down. And if you're going right, you're going to move farther ahead. And if not, you exchange stuff without looking at the new number, trying to slowly whittle down what the choices are. So, I mean, it looks solid. It just doesn't look like it's a game that I would ever enjoy. I could say that. Different strokes for different folks. I completely screwed that up the first time. But that's Lost Code Reboot, so check it out. Next up, Library Labyrinth. Again, like 14,000. This is like solidly low funding on a lot of these good games. And this was an interesting one because you have this library that you're going to be searching through, and the tiles are basically being released, and you're defeating monsters, and you're trying to, get through as you're flipping and rotating and reshelving and reorganizing the library as you go. So again, it's an interesting concept. The aesthetic again isn't very appealing, but who cares, right? It's the gameplay that matters. So it tells you how to play. You're going to try and find all 6 safe shelves and fill each one with a captured terror. So run out of time or too many terrors. So it tells you what you can do. You have 3 actions of flipping, rotating, trading the cards, capturing a terror, or shelving them. So a little bit of variant of those 3 said actions. So again, if 29 pounds is the price point, I think that's a fine price point. I don't think you're going to find it on the retail any cheaper than that. It'd be good to back a small publisher like this. And yeah, there you go. A little bit of stuff here for the extras. It's a small indie. They're not going to throw a bunch of extra stuff in there they can't promise. So it makes sense. I'm glad they're going to do well. It's clearly going to fund here in a couple days. So Library Labyrinth, there you go. So it's funny. I just ran across this project that launched, and this is Mondrian. This is an art style. And it's weird because the Netflix show I just started watching, it's Sky Castle. It's a K-drama from a couple years ago. It actually mentions one of these Mondrian paintings as something that one of the kids should have on the wall to help them study because it helps them reflect deeper and think about deep issues. So anyway, this is an abstract strategy game. It's almost 50% funded. I have no idea what it is. Color in motion, 1 to 5 players, and you're, growing a piece of art essentially. Ion Award finalist. That doesn't get thrown around too lightly. And they go about Mondrian here, named after the Dutch painter. So what are we actually doing though? Oh, they're cards. Oh, I was hoping they would be like actual pieces, like a more abstract game. Special edition, $55 each. Basically just a fancy box, it looks like. Okay, so what are you doing here? Just one little video of how to play. Okay. Again, give me something on the page. Give me something on the page to show me how to play it, because I don't really always want to watch a video. Give me a little GIF, give me a little something. But you're expanding it. It almost makes me think of stacking cards, placing markers on overlaps. Okay, you're overlapping them to try and create patterns. Okay. Anyway, interesting. Thought I'd mention it, especially with the tie-in from the show I was just watching. So there you go. Behext. Unconventional deck building. 100%, already 200% funded. Your cards are your currency, essentially. So let's see what we got. Because again, this is an interesting player count and interesting battling deck builder. So here we have a 3 to 5 player game. Magical combat. You're a battle mage. What's in the box? You got 6 playmats. Again, a little bit of everything there. The different types of cards. 4 mastery packs. Okay, so already I'm seeing like this, and then another mastery pack. Okay, so they're revealing stuff, but that makes me worried that like the pledge levels are going to be, oh, well, they're going to be a little higher. Okay, so $45. Not bad, actually. The Battle Mage, what gets you this extra then? Conjuring Wheel, Neoprene playmat, and sleeves for $30. Okay, so nope, could pass on that. No stretch goals, and you're just going to get it in the mastery packs already. So pass the hex spells between players by playing spell cards to deflect an attack to your rival. Discard cards because the cards are your defense essentially, but you want to conjure more powerful spells in order to do so. So a little Marvel Champions-esque type playing, and spells are dangerous to you, but you can get victory points, and when you can't deflect it, they lose willpower. So a couple of videos here. This is one worth checking out. I think it's doing something a little bit different. How different, and especially the 3-player player count, is a little bit tough, but I think it looks solid. $45. I think that's probably a good deal. I don't think I'd go with the playmats or the sleeves, but that's okay. So 10 grand though. Boom, there you go. Behext. Now I'm going to give a shout out to this one as well. This looks like an interesting sort of strategy abstract game with a theme on it, sort of with some asymmetric powers. And this is called 5 Paths, a Tactical Brawl. You're basically going through the streets, navigating them, going in a direction until you can't anymore, trying to capture other people's pieces. It's only got 4,600 of its $12,000 goal, but it looks like it's something actually a little bit different. So I kind of like this. Move and capture, so a game state changes every single time. And so it's going to make you, really play on your feet. A couple reviews here. Why you're going to back this game right now. Again, that's not really a great reason to back it now. But anyway, So you win by taking 5 of your opponent's pieces or a knockout by immobilizing them all. So a couple of videos here, how to play. The rule book is right here, so they run you through a little bit of explanation. It's not really a rule book, but more of just a running open document, essentially. I give you some of the powers that each of the characters have in terms of that. I'll get this out of the way, even though I'm probably blocking it. In terms of how you're rolling when you contest attackers versus defenders. Different powers, again, different abilities, and they show you how to movement and capture and do the special abilities in the first place, depending on the dice you roll. So I think if you're interested in something different, this reminds me of the other indie game that I backed from a French company called Soul Givers, which I should have in about like 2 months. So again, this looks like something very solid, so hopefully it funds. So there you go. Check it out. Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wordland. Curiouser and Curiouser. 5,700 of 6,600. I have no clue. I saw this sort of in the periphery, and I have no clue what it is, though. So what are we doing here in this game, actually? Discussion topic, forbidden letters. You try to say a word appropriate while avoiding the hidden letters. Okay. So it's a party game. I would not have guessed, actually. Okay. Bunch of previews, bunch of how to plays. Okay. Well, I thought I'd mention it. It's gonna fund. People like party games. If you're looking for something different with a musical teapot, this is an exclusive deluxe edition. So, Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wordland. Check it out. Word explosion. Words, apparently. This is all the rage this week. Word explosion, 3,200 of 7,000. You're doing stuff with words. Reverse cards, forward cards, alphabet reminder cards. I have no clue what this is doing. Again, I'm not a big word person, so as much as I say that, my English teacher mother would probably, be very heartbroken. So essentially in forward mode, you're either playing a card from your hand that either matches the letter or advances the alphabet one step further, or spelling a word. So you have 3 different ways of doing that. Oh, an action card you can play as well. So you have another way of doing that, and then it's sort of a little bit of Uno. If you can't play, you draw until you can, and you can reverse it so that you have to do other things essentially instead. Reversing the direction of the alphabet mainly. So action cards, stretch goals, that's it. Again, I can see the interest in this, and I can see how this could be fun, more of a party style game, but again, party and word games, 2 of my things that don't stay very well in my collection, but again, it's doing well so far, so hopefully it'll fund. There you go. Gigawatt, I talked about this one last week, and again, this one's 200% funded. Sort of flying under the radar. I haven't seen anyone talking about this. 1 to 6 player game, tech, investing, trade, auctions. And that was sort of the unique combination of gameplay that I was wondering how people would react to. It's definitely heavy Euro. So again, how do you feel about that? Because you're trying to produce energy and trying to match the energy needs, and the first person to do so wins. But the energy requirements are going to go up each round as your engine gets better, so you're going to have to still play catch up, and it's the first one to complete it, not just playing a certain number of rounds. So what do we got going on here? $53 and 5% day 2 discount, 5% day 2 discount, $54, $74 for the deluxe. Was there a 1-day discount then? Yes. 10% 1-day discount. Okay. Again, that's kind of weird. Like, I understand like why people do that, because as someone said in the comment section, like, you want to be rewarded for following these things closely, but at the same time, if you're not, does that going to, level you off here at the backing at some point too, if it's too big of a gap? So I don't know. I don't have the metrics on that. It's just all anecdotal from people one way or the other. So a few stretch goals here are hit already. A few big ones there. Wow. Again, beautiful looking game. Aesthetics not an issue. The question of whether or not it's more for you, though. Again, you want to shut down all your coal and gas plants and replace them with other technologies in order to meet the energy requirements that are being presented to you that are increasing round by round. A lot of Euro mechanisms here. We went through the pledge levels already a little bit. Social stretch goals, a few other things. Game elements. Wish this game elements was a little higher, but that's okay. Again, bunch of videos here. That's it. Again, this is one I think is going to fly under the radar. Is it really good? Is it worth it? How does it compare to other Euro games? That's more of the question. But again, I'm not the right person to ask, but I want to bring it to people's attention because it's doing well and it deserves the attention in the first place. Gigawatt. Spring and Autumn, Story of China. This is a relaunch. It was originally launched on Gamefound. Now they're relaunching on Kickstarter, which is the first one I think that's maybe the first one that's gone that way overall. 1 to 5 players. Again, more of a Euro style game. But this is a 4X as well. Was this the one that had all of the big, yes, miniatures? The deluxeifications, massive deluxeifications with all of these as a 4X game. So, I don't know. I didn't see much knowledge about this beforehand. I think it got announced a day or two before. And the question was, again, well, why now? Why get this? Mini expansion is going to cost you $175. That's a ton. It's $100 worth of miniatures just for non-gameplay aesthetic. So, again, not saying I haven't done it, but it's interesting. Most honorable phase, action phase, and the upkeep phase. Again, as a Euro, non-Euro person, that has no interest to me. I wish there was a little bit more on the page, but I think it has everything you really need. And Mr. B Games is doing it. I mean, they've done plenty of these others. There's another game just like this. What is it, Hellenica? Something like that. It's down there in the bundles. You can buy it too. But even coming over to Kickstarter, it's sort of fallen amidst all of the other giants that are towering out, especially this week. So it's might fund. We'll see. It's 2/3 of the way there, which is a great start. But is it going to keep the momentum? So we'll see. Now we have Worldbreakers, 2-player card game set in, the era of the 13th century Asia. Again, almost 150% funded. Like, as a 2-player dueling game, I like the aesthetic. Designer reached out to me and I said, this is a little bit too outside my comfort zone in terms of 2-player games. So I apologize that I wouldn't be able to get to it because also everything else was coming at once. So it was sort of the combination of both those. Because this was a little bit different than some of the other duelers that I typically play. So I wasn't quite comfortable. Again, like, I want to be comfortable with it because I want to give it my best, everything I can. But it looks solid. I mean, the artwork was solid. The design is solid. So, again, I'm not surprised it's funded. Playmats are exclusive. Deck box exclusive. Draft doubler. Again, it's more of that, too. Like, this is more of a construction. More than just like something like Radlands or Exceed or one of those where it's pre-constructed. And those are another big issue for me. I just don't have time to construct most of the time. And you can play pre-constructed, it says, but it really reminds me of a game where if you're really looking for something with more depth like this, you're going to want one of these two, the constructed or the pile draft, which is fine, or the solo, because I think it looks solid from those aspects. It's just, for me, I can't construct, and I would really love to construct. And so if you're going to give me the option and I just can't do it, I'd rather not do it from that aspect. What is the price point, though? $30? Okay. Basically one pledge level, except if you get the deluxe, which comes with 2 playmats and the deck box and the doubler. So there's a fair number at some of these higher pledges. How much are we at total? What was it again? 14, almost 15,000. And you have a lot of your people down here. What, $30 for, you have $30 here for the base pledge, 160. So where are all the people then? 260. Okay, so we have 160 of 260 down at the main pledge level. So, and a few of those other higher ones. But again, I can see why it's doing well. I'd like to see some more unique mechanics on the page of what it's actually doing, which I don't see as much of until you get way down here. And even then, it's the rule book and a couple of videos and quotes. So I wish there was something like that on the page, but there you go. Check it out. Now we have Gamefound. This is Factory 42 for the Greater Good edition. Commerce, production, resource management. It's a worker placement game. I didn't know it was launching, and so that's why I missed it last week. But you know what? Can't catch everything. I'm a one-man band here, so yeah, upgrade kit. There's a second edition apparently. Stretch goals are going to be available. Let's see. I have no clue or familiarity with this game whatsoever. So, what are we at right now? Actually, 9,000 euros of 8,000. So they're already overfunded. Aesthetic is not my most favorite, but again, who cares? How does it play? 2 to 5 players. Marxistic dwarves in a steampunk setting. Okay. Factory overseers. Cube tower, which is going to turn off a lot of Euro people, I think, if you're dropping cubes. Pinch of satire with humorous negotiation game. General process, a 6-step process. Rulebook is right there. And again, outside my comfort zone, but plenty of Euro people taking a hard look at it as well. So, theme is definitely unique. Marxist steampunk dwarves, right? Shipping is what it is. $63 pledges. What other pledges are there? Is it really just that one? Yeah, 63 euros. That's expensive though. So I don't know. Interesting, interesting, interesting. We're gonna see what else GameFound can put out in the next month or two because it's gonna probably have a lot of interest. So there you go. Let's do a quick couple updates on big projects. This weekend, I will be probably doubling up on videos because I want to get my Kingdoms Forlorn video out on whether or not you should back it. So all 4,400 people that have watched my other 50-minute breakdown of what you need to know about it as it approaches a million and as the all-in just came out for $450, we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to leave it there. Separate video. It's going to be coming out this weekend as well, probably overlapping with whatever comes out on Saturday, the usual upcoming next week, or on Sunday, I'll maybe do a double feature there. Deep Rock Galactic, I literally have to go do that after this video, whether or not I am going to be backing it or not. I need to figure that out because I'm tempted and I only have 15 hours and 15 hours ends while I'm at work tomorrow. So that is not going to be time enough for me to get it figured out while at work. So, well, post video, figure it out. So again, standee version is really enticing. They hit a bunch of stretch goals. I'm really enticed by it as a scenario-driven Cthulhu Death May Die-esque game. And there's just a ton of stuff included with it. So from what people have said, I think it looks good. I just need to see whether or not it's going to be too much, too little, or somewhere right in between Goldilocks and the Three Bears style. So then we have Unsettled. I have I've sort of made up my mind on Unsettled. I don't think I'm going to go for it. It's too much money. I don't think I'm going to like it as much as I would think I would like it. I have a lot of other co-op stuff that I like already. And as much as it sounds cool, I think ISS Vanguard is ultimately going to be better for me. And so I'm going to save my money and go for something else later this month. So we'll see. And then we have Hand to Hand Wombat, which again is approaching same lines of Kingdom Forlorn in terms of a million. Again, this blind temple building, allegiance traitor-ish, accusational based game. No interest in it whatsoever, but I have a friend in my game group who's got kids of this age, and they play Throw Burrito like you wouldn't believe it, and they have kid game nights where they play stuff like this. And so if I had a kid this age that would like to do this, 3-4 years older, and then played games a ton, I would be seriously considering it. Because again, it's been a good value, especially on the crowdfunding from Exploding Kittens in the past, and I don't think this is going to be any different. So there you go, quick roundup of where things are at right now. Okay, that's it. That is the roundup for this week. Upcoming video, like I said, tomorrow for next week's stuff. Going to be another hard-hitting next 2 weeks of videos for that. And watch your wallets because there's going to be money flowing. So if none of this stuff ending as well as catching your eye. That's about it. Otherwise, I got a bunch of stuff in the mail today. I got like literally like 4 games in the mail today. So I'm gonna maybe do a video separately as well in the next week, just talking about like, okay, these are the games I got. A little my quick, thoughts on them before I've even opened them and played them, and just to show you a little bit of what's going to be potentially upcoming. So I might do a little bit of that too because I think people think that's interesting. But yeah. Apart from that, I got to get another play of this in as well this weekend so I can talk about the Kaiju Ball mode. It's a take on the Dragon Ball Z Dragon Balls. It's tough. I played the Fozilla Apocalypse mode the other night for the playthrough. Holy crap, I got my butt kicked. If you want to see me get embarrassed by a game in 40 minutes or less, that is a total butt kicking. When I played two-handed, two-player, got destroyed. Got absolutely wiped off the map. But the 2 new players in that game, the 2 new characters, I really like them. Including those in the base game, it's going to be amazing. Spoilers. I may be one of the few people, like one of the 10 people that's rated it on Board Game Geek already. So if you're really curious, you can go find my rating out on Board Game Geek already. That's it. That's all I got. Peace out. Have a great weekend. Play something. I have a little bit of a weekend after finishing 10 days in a row again for the second time in less than a month, working 10 days in a row. It's just, I'm just ready to be done. And the 1.5-year-old is regressed in sleep training. So he's waking up and spending half his night up right now too. So, it's been a absolute terror right now in my household, but you know what? So be it. Maybe I'll get something played this weekend. I am going to get stuff played this weekend, including 1 or 2 of those new games I just got. Spoilers. Some good stuff. Very good stuff. I bought a retail package and it just came. Like, doesn't that intrigue you now? Like, Liege bought a retail package of 3 games when he's known for not buying retail. Is your interest peaked now? Oh, yeah. I'll do it. I'll do it. Peace out. Thanks for watching. Stay classy, Patreon people. I love you. So I'm never a big fan of winserts. I can say that, and that's okay because different folks with different strokes, with